Imagine yourself standing upon a rooftop, enacting that ancient human rite of watching the night fall. As the blue deepens into black, you witness a single star shudder forth, and another, and another. The darkness kindles starlight upon the sky as surely as you kindle light upon your menorah. By the time the 8th star appears, the entire sky releases her storehouse of sparks. Dazzled by stars beyond count, you face the seeming infinity of space. Beholding this limitlessness from your rooftop perch, you are reminded of the infinity of your very soul. The 8th and final light. The menorah stands luminous before us, ignited in its entirety, complete. These 8 lights are the grand finale of the entire Hanukkah journey. And finales, with all their pageantry, always signal that we have reached an end. Just as the rooftop is the upper limit of the house, this is the limit of our Hanukkah lights. And yet, just as standing upon the roof allows us to grasp the sense of the sky's limitlessness, looking upon the 8 lights, we are reminded of God's light, the Or Haganuz, that has no end. The 8th and final night is thus dedicated to transcendence. Just as the 7 days of the week represent linear time and the completion of the physical, the number 8 is an elegant leap beyond the linear and beyond physicality. 8 represents transcendence. Just as miracles themselves transcend the limits of the physical realm, so does the number 8 beckon us to transcendence. Although the 8th night is the exuberant end of this holiday, it also hints at the limitless holiness of every day. Yes, there were 8 nights of miraculous oil, but beyond that, every day holds its own miracles. When we are in touch with the infinite light of our own souls, the very rooftop of ourselves, then we are in touch with the infinite of God. From that place, the miracles are not only possible, they are a given. This final night of Hanukkah celebrates our transcendent spirits and God's promise of his miraculous daily presence in our lives. Hi there, I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, Vlognukkah 2021, Night 8, our final night of Vlognukkah. What has happened to this holiday? It is gone. Almost. So actually, technically, we have tonight through tomorrow. But wow, it has just gone so fast. It's hard to believe that 1 week ago tonight, we started our celebration of light, our festival of lights, where we experience the slow progression of more light being added to the world through these 8 nights. I hope you've enjoyed the little meditations. I know I have. I've gotten quite a bit out of them, and tonight's is, of course, really special because that idea of going beyond. We mark our time often in these 7-day increments, and the idea of the 8th night, one more day to celebrate, making this day especially, quite special. And I know that the Christian world has moved into Advent, so happy second Sunday of Advent to all of those who are celebrating Advent. This is just such a special time of year. I hope that you're all taking stock and enjoying the aspects of this season. I know it can get very hectic and it can seem very overwhelming at times, but remember the joy that comes from this season, and really, the word that comes to my mind is wallow in it. Had to answer a quick message there real quick from my husband, who's doing his volunteering at Botanica for Illuminations. If again, full circle, I talked about that earlier, I believe last week, and so here we are again. So another aspect that I really love about this season is that feeling of connectivity down through the ages, knowing that not only am I celebrating Hanukkah with my family, but in a sense, I also celebrate it with all the other families who light Hanukkahot on this night and over the past 8 nights. And that's simply in the present. There's also an aspect that as I light these lights, I am lighting them as our ancestors and Jews throughout history on these nights have lit these candles to proclaim the miracle, to rededicate themselves to their practice of Judaism, their practice of their faith, the importance of passing on the traditions and sharing those with future generations. So there's this feeling of being connected to that history, to that ancientness, as well as being connected to my contemporaries, the other people in today's world, who are also rededicating themselves to the practice of their faith, their beliefs, those things that keep them centered and complete. Now, thinking of ancestors, last year my husband did a DNA test to find more about his background and his history. And one of the interesting things that he found out that is that he is 1%, I believe it's Nigerian. Somewhere back, I think it's his 3rd times great grandfather was an African American slave, or an African slave, and so yeah, he's 1% black, which is really cool. This year, being that they were on sale right around Black Friday, I got myself an ancestry kit for myself and for my nephew, Christian. My nephew Christian is my niece's son. But there's some question of my niece's parentage. She is my sister-in-law's daughter. The question has come up: is she my brother's daughter? So a little bit of intrigue going on in the family. So the question really kind of comes up is, because my nephew has so many traits that are very much akin to my family. It'd be interesting to find out if he is indeed of my blood, because so much is very much there, not just in behavior, because behavior sort of can come from nurturing, but also in feature and body type. So it'd be that will be an interesting thing. He's been very curious to know more about, to see if what some of those connections might be. So I got him a DNA kit as well, which we plan on doing either later tonight or tomorrow. So that will be interesting to see what those results are. I know some things about my ancestry, One thing I do know is that on both sides of my family, on my Wallace side, on my paternal side, the family goes back to pre-revolutionary days. And the same is true on my mother's side, which the surname is Kittle. And again, goes all the way back to pre-revolutionary times when the roots of those families came to the United States. So my family has my roots are in the United States or in the Americas for many generations. So it will be interesting to see if I am anything more than English and Scottish, which is my expectation, is that there will be a strong connection to those parts of the world. So it will be very interesting to see what else shows up in those ancestral results. But very possibly some German. But really, I'm thinking pretty much it's going to be somewhere in the realm of England, Wales, Scotland, maybe Ireland, but I'm not expecting much there. And I would be very surprised about other ethnic connections. But one never knows. One never knows. So that will be fun to do. And when those results come in, I will let you all know what transpires there. But that's for the future. Interesting how I'm just kind of bouncing between the future, the present, and the past. Yeah. So, couple of things. One, I do have a finished object. This is a knitting podcast, not a history podcast, and not a podcast on Judaism, although it often rears its head. But I do have finished off yet one more Orbit shawl, which I think will probably be the last one for the season. And there it is. This one is in my Mount Carmel Yarns colorway called Beloved. It's a lovely grayish blue with purples and black. A very, very muted, but very lovely, non-repeating, variegated colorway. So I have completed this. I do have a fourth coworker. She has recently joined my team. So I believe this will more than likely be going to her, as I've gotten all the other ladies knitted up their colorways as well. So I have that finished object. Yay. And because I have that finished object, that means that I had to cast on some pressing works in progress. One is the cowl that I am going to knit for my supervisor, my boss. And so I am knitting that in my Oops yarn that from dyeing the that colorway, that one over there. And so this is that Oops yarn, which I think is going to look really quite lovely. And the pattern that I am knitting it in is Tin Can Knits Simple Yet Effective Cowl. It's a DK weight cowl that is really quite simple. So I'm looking forward to finishing that up and getting that ready to ship off for a holiday gift. And then secondly, my husband wanted a new scarf. And this is based on a scarf that I knit him before. The pattern is the Seated Rib Scarf by Smariak Knits. And it is in these Cascade 220 Superwash colorways of, and actually I can tell you what the colorway names are, because the unfortunate aspect is that the ball bands only express the number, not the actual name of the color. And so what the red colorway is called, what is it called? Oh, Christmas Red Heather. So that is the Christmas Red Heather, which is very Christmassy. And then the green is called Forest. So it's a really lovely foresty, emeraldy, well, not emerald, but very foresty green. I really do. And they are, of course, knitting up. Quite fun, quite lovely. That's the front, and there's the back. And I almost like the back better than the front. But that is just getting going, as is the cowl. But I wanted to get those cast on. Number one, for you all, so you can see that, hey, I'm moving on to new projects. And it also is sort of that impetus to continue this march towards getting holiday knits out the door and off the needles so that I can jump into the new year. The new year, I think, is going to start off with, and I try to do this every new year, with some completion of any started projects, either to decide to frog them and be done, or knit them to the point of completion and get them off the needles, so that, number one, I can get those needles back into circulation, and secondly, sort of clean the queue, as what one might say. And I have about 4 or 5 projects that are languishing over here in the corner. They are in progress. They have been started. I just haven't worked on them recently. There is a sweater, there's a blanket, there are 2 cowls, and a pair of socks. Yeah, it's a lot. So I may be spending January, February, maybe the entire first quarter cleaning up and finishing up projects. Does that mean I'm not going to cast on a new one? Yeah, right. I know better, and you do too. But okay, so that is what's coming up for, at least those are my New Year's plans, is to start off the new year by doing some cleaning house on backed up projects. Now, yesterday, you saw that I dyed some yarn, and I shared that process with you. And I did promise that today I would show off the finished skein of yarn. And I intend to do that very thing. So let me give it a good pop here. And there it is. There is that skein of yellow and red that I dyed up last night on the 7th night. So yeah, so my goal, blowing out, there it is. So my goal was to create a red and yellow skein colorway that did not result in orange. And I think, for the most part, I have accomplished it. There's still a good portion of white left over, which I don't mind. That will make for fun. This will be a very repeating colorway, so I'm expecting some pooling. I'm expecting some flashing and all that kind of stuff because of the repeating nature of this colorway. That being said, I think that will still be pretty. I dyed this colorway up on my fingering, on my high twist fingering weight, my high twist sock base, which is an 80% wool. I think it's just Peruvian, just a Peruvian wool, and at 80, it's an 80/20 wool to nylon. So that's what it kind of looks like twisted up. Very fun, very festive, very bright. I like it. I had some leftover dye, and so I threw another skein into the mix to kind of use up some of it. And I didn't use up all the red. I did use up all the yellow. This is my high twist DK. Same balance of 80% Peruvian Highland wool, 20% polyamide, and this one is a very non-repeating colorway. And again, even though it is, the colors are much more close together, it doesn't play orange. I was really surprised that it really pretty much does still remain bright red and bright yellow with very little mixing of the two to create orange. So very pleased, even with this skein. Well, I'll tell you, the warm tones are not my standard wheelhouse. So reds, yellows, and oranges, at least in this intensity of this brightness, are not where I gravitate to. And I don't do a lot of dyeing in these worlds. So here's that first one. Here's the second one. Non-repeating and repeating. So it'll be kind of, I'm really interested to see how those knit up. Again, this is a DK high twist, and this is the fingering high twist. And these are, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, they are a 2-ply, there it is, high twist, even with the, so lots of really great, this would, ooh, wow. There we go. The focus went crazy. So these will create some really great stitch definition with that, the makeup of that yarn. So got that done, showed that off. Wow, what's left? Let's see what has been going on today. I haven't been really listening to much music other than some of the same stuff that I have shared with you before. So go check out some of the music that I've been listening to. I've been listening to the Christmas holiday tunes, choral tunes that became loves of things that I loved from college when I was in college choir. I shared some of those earlier in Vlognukkah, as well as some various interesting holiday Hanukkah tunes. So go check some of those out. Again, you'll find those in show notes for nights 1, 2, 3, and I think 4. And then I kind of like fell off the whole music bandwagon, so to speak. What else? I know it just seems like I don't want to end. It just seems like it's all going so fast. I just want to stop and enjoy a little bit more time with you all. So I'm kind of glancing around, saying, oh, what else can I talk about? What else can I share with you? What more is going on? And there just isn't much more to say. other than I have thoroughly enjoyed Vlognukkah 2021, and sharing it with you, and being able to read your comments, and all of all the activities that have gone on. The holidays aren't over for most of us. We are kind of entering into an interesting period, though, for an a minority of people, especially in the United States, a minority of people wherein, and this doesn't happen often with Christians, and I can't think of a time when this might happen, where there is a holiday that is celebrated amidst the celebration of a different holiday that is not your own. And your holiday ends and the other one continues, and you're not a direct part of that holiday. It is probably unique to, I don't want to say it's unique to Jews and Judaism, but that's the only sort of experience that I can talk to, and it's that experience of having had my holiday, had our holiday, and it is now over, and yet the holiday season at large continues on, and in a sense without us. It's very odd. It's a kind of an odd feeling to think, oh well, we're done. It's also odd when it's the other way around, when Christmas happens and Hanukkah is has yet to begin, which occasionally occurs, or Christmas sort of falls somewhere in the middle, and we continue on with our celebration when the majority of the Christmas celebration has come to a not to a close, but the fervor of the holiday has passed, which is kind of an interesting, and which definitely brings up an interesting aspect of the Christian holiday season, in that there's so much during Advent, and so much energy during Advent that leads up to Christmas. And even though technically Christmas Day is the beginning of the Christmas holiday, the Christmas season, which runs for 12 days up until Epiphany, most people do not celebrate it in that fashion. They celebrate and all of these activities that occur prior to the Christmas holiday, and then once Christmas happens, the focus really shifts to New Year's, and so I was thinking about that earlier this week, about how we're and how tomorrow night will begin sort of that weird period for me, at least, and I don't know if other Jews experience this, but I know I do, is that weird period of my holiday is done and your holiday is just really getting ramped up. We're just now getting into the second week of Advent, and there's you're sort of at that halfway point where you're almost there. You're halfway into that season. So it's going to be it's kind of that odd period, and maybe even though Vlognukkah for me will end with this episode, I think throughout December I will not be putting something out on a daily basis, but it will be. I think I'm going to try and put something out every week, at a minimum, to maybe explore some of this odd period that I will be in, from a season standpoint. And also, maybe talk a little bit about year-end wrap-ups, as so many people on Instagram started posting about their Spotify listening trends for the year. Mine was unfortunately odd that I don't use Spotify a lot, and when I do, there are some specific tunes that I play, and so it seemed like I wasn't listening to anything but one or two artists and one or two songs. But really, I don't use Spotify that much. So that being said, okay, so I've whiled away a few more minutes for us to kind of drag this out, but I hope you maybe found it interesting. Just some of the crazy things that are going around in my brain. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I do hope that you have enjoyed Vlognukkah 2021 coming from GreatScott Knitting. And I hope that for those of you who have been celebrating Hanukkah, Chag Hanukkah Sameach, I hope you have had a lovely season. And I hope that the lights of this season will shine bright for you throughout the year. And actually, I wish that for everyone who has been watching. May the beautiful lights of this season, be they coming from a Hanukkah, Hanukkah, or from Christmas lights on your home or a neighbor's home, or even the stoplights that blink red and green. May those lights bring you joy, and may that joy sustain you through the dark days of winter, and as we move into a new year. May it bring you joy. So with that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and any other holidays that I miss. May your celebration of those days be bring you great joy and happiness. So may you all have peace, shalom, in your home, and the fullness of joy that this season can bring to everyone who dwells there. Bye.